Hey, welcome back to Leg by Leg. This is episode 3. Today I talked to Ryan Moore about the Canterbury school's long distance, although it's more of a long sprint, as you'll see. They used a sprint map and did a kind of moderately long course on that. It's one for beginner and intermediate levels. There's a lot of fairly easy stuff for beginners, but then there's a few tricky legs with some contour interpretation and some terrain simplification. I really like talking to Ryan. I think he can explain the way he's thinking and what he's thinking about really clearly. So I think this is a really good episode for those who grasp the basics of orienteering but would benefit from some insight from people who are reasonably experienced and quite thoughtful about their navigation. So I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks for joining me, Ryan. How did you enjoy the course today?
It was good, yeah. It was interesting having a sprint map for a long event, but it wasn't too bad. It was a pretty good course.
Did you know the area? Have you been mountain biking there?
Yeah, I've got a lot of local knowledge. I bike there all the time, and I've also done a lot of field work on the map myself, so I knew quite a bit about the area, yeah.
Yeah, sweet. It sounds like these Canterbury schools events are a lot more about inclusion and introduction for a number of people to orienteering.
Yeah.
So it sounds fun. Can you take us through your course leg by leg, and we'll take a look at what features you're using to navigate most confidently, and what things worked for you and what didn't work for you.
Yeah.
So let's start off. Number 1.
Right, well, that's a pretty self-explanatory leg. You just run along the track until you get into the open land.
So you start on the track, so it's super easy.
You can just see the control from
So
there,
what was the difference between the rough open and the...
It was basically just like waist-high grass and stuff. Okay. And then it was just like more like mown lawn. It was quite obvious.
Yep.
And then you could see that wall that was...
Cool. So that's an impassable wall.
Yeah.
And it's is it at the bottom?
Yeah, that was at the foot.
Cool. So if you look at the contours, then they're all heading downhill in that direction. And so it's in around. Cool. Number 2.
Okay, so that one was easy because as soon as you came back out, you could see the control straight away.
So you came back out the way you came in? Yep.
And then, you could easily see the control. It was a picnic table, I think.
Okay, cool. And what helped you to look in the right direction?
Well, as long as I had my map, vaguely orientated and you're looking in the right direction, it was quite obvious. Cool. And it's really close as well. So.
Are you using the compass quite a lot to keep the orientation? Or just with reference to the other things around you?
It was just reference here, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
So straight up to the picnic table. And 3?
3, I mean, you could see that the big water tank as soon as you looked up, straight up the hill.
Straight up the hill? Right, this big guy. Yeah. Okay.
So, you just look straight up at that and run up the hill pretty much.
Big grinder straight up. Cool, quite easy. And it's on the building. Yeah. The smaller building.
It's on
before
the fence corner just outside.
The fence corner, is it? Okay, right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see the fence corner.
Yeah.
Cool. Number 4.
So just running up the track, which is nice and easy, and then just left and then into the control.
Following the track through the fence. Track junction.
Yep.
Left. And what is this one on?
It was on. I think it must have been the fence, but I think on the course I thought it might have been the end of the cliff.
Yeah.
That's kind of inside the outer bounds, so.
It made it easy and just headed on the.
Yeah, I think it was just on the fence. Some fence bend.
Yeah.
But it was at the foot of the hill, so you had to go around the hill a bit.
Okay.
It wasn't right on the top there.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Down a bit there. Okay. And 5.
Yep. So that was just running up the track, and then I took that little shortcut on that little
Oh,
track
yeah.
there. Don't
Nice.
know whether that was fast enough. It's pretty,
5-second game.
pretty equal. And then, yeah, so you got the track junction there to let you know you're getting close. And then you've got
Yep, so this track junction here.
Yeah.
That one, yep.
Then you got the 2 special features, and you got the...
what were these guys? The black crosses?
Probably picnic tables again, I think.
Yep.
A lot of these are. And then you got the clearing on the right, and then it's a spur.
So did you go between the picnic tables over this hilltop
So
there you
I
can
went,
see with the form line?
I went to the top of the hill, yeah, and then dropped down into it.
Cool.
So it probably could have been a little bit faster if you just stayed on the track a little bit longer.
This option to run around and
straight in. But yeah, I went from the top of the hill because it was just a much more obvious way to...
And what about direction off the top of the hill? Did you feel any risk of running in the incorrect direction from
I did start going a bit off to the right, but you can see the controls. So
okay, how dense was the green forest?
You couldn't see the control from the top of the hill, but as soon as you were dropping down the contours, you could see it. So
okay,
yeah.
And could you see the reentrant here, the shape of this contour?
That was nice and obvious. Yeah.
Okay, cool. 6. How did you do this?
Okay, well, first of all, I went straight down that reentrant right there instead of going down the track.
Okay, a bit closer.
This was admittedly a bit of local knowledge, but there's a...
You just snuck straight down there.
There's a track pretty much, like, just a worn out, like a Desire track, which just goes straight down there, and you can just run straight down it, and then along the track to the corner, and then...
Yep, so there's a junction here on the corner.
Yeah, and then just running like the first 10 meters on that track, and then...
Cool, and could you see this corner in the track? Yep.
Yeah, and then just a little quick bearing into the...
Cool, so you were actively using the compass?
Yeah.
Off the corner?
And then...
Didn't want to end up in the wrong clearing over here or into this guy? Yep.
Just to be safe, and yeah, it was quite easy to see once you were off the track.
What are these trees?
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yep.
It was...
Or were they quite dense and leafy?
It was pretty dense.
Yeah. Okay, maybe some decisions now on this leg.
Yeah, so I ended up coming out kind of directly north, maybe a little bit west as well, and then I pretty much just bashed straight down to that junction. So pretty much just did straight on the line.
Okay. Were you happy with that, or do you think it might have been faster to come around?
I honestly don't think it would be much difference because the amount of green you're going through is quite thin, so it's kind of just a little bit of a bash through it, and 5-10 seconds and you're out. So
just drop the head and put your arms up.
Yeah, it's pretty equal.
Yeah.
And then here, see, this was definitely a mistake on my part. When I dropped down.
Okay, so this is a big valley.
Yeah.
Through here, as shown by the.
There was a control.
And this is quite steep. There's a lot of contours there, so that's quite steep. Heading down from the.
Yeah. Junction. So there was a control on that stump, or whatever it is. The brown X was a root stock.
Yeah.
And there was a control there, and I ended up there, and I ran back up to the track, and then I was like, no, that's not the right control. So
so you punched it.
Yeah,
thinking it was the right one.
Punch it, and then
risky.
And then I was like, no, what am I doing?
So what triggered your concern is that it was only 5 or so meters
too
between
close to the
your
track,
control.
And obviously not in a clearing. I don't know. I just wasn't thinking before I punched it, and then I punched it. I'm like, I'm not in a clearing. I'm too close to the track. So
those controls are very close together. So
yeah,
nice one for noticing.
Almost inside the control circle.
Yeah.
But I only realized that on the track, and then I just went around and then just dropped in and out from the track.
Okay, so you're already running on the track, and then you came back down.
And then I just went like that. So little mistake there. Oh, now this leg. Now,
so what's the big challenge on this leg for you?
I don't think I did this the best way, because I think the best way to attack this leg was to commit to going right up or going right round the bottom. So you can either go like jump up onto this track and then go straight across pretty much.
And then through the white strip.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah.
Or you run straight down the valley and then go like across and then through there. And I didn't really commit to that because I didn't want to like have to go all this unnecessary height.
So you could come around.
Yeah, I think that would be quite fast as well.
Would you come all the way down to that one maybe?
Probably just like cross through where those little cliffs are and then
probably.
I don't know. I would.
Yeah, maybe you stay.
I think I would maybe go up a little bit there and then cross through the cliffs and then up in between the two cliffs and then like that.
Yep, two good options. So the main thing you don't want to do is climb more than necessary.
Yes.
And you don't want to run more wide than necessary.
And I know Fergus climbed straight up out of that control to the track in the open land, but I don't want to climb unnecessarily, so what I ended up doing is pretty much staying on a contour the whole way. So I think I just passed the top of that green
bit. Yep.
Yeah, and then
maybe you were more through like that.
Yeah, and then what I should have done is from there just gone like straight across, but I ended up coming unnecessarily contouring around.
Okay, so you ended up doing something more like that.
Yeah, which was a bit of a waste of time.
Where did you hit these tracks?
I hit this one just below the top of that fence junction, so just at the top of the green.
Yeah.
In the fence, and then across, yeah.
And then up.
Yep.
Right.
And then through that little, and that was a bit of a questionable bit of mapping right there.
Yeah, I'm like when you see mapping like that, it's always fairly concerning because if it's mapped wrong, you're totally screwed.
Yeah. So I don't remember much about it, but the dark green was kind of like some rough open kind of stuff with a lot of undergrowth, and then it was kind of just on the edge of the forest, and there was also a lot of these like earth banks and bumps because the cliff obviously wasn't just this nice perfect just
like you'd imagine from the map
straight. I mean, like when you map a cliff, you're going to simplify it so it just looks like it goes straight down, but when you get to the top of a big cliff, it's kind of all fluctuating and there's these little depressions and little and so you're kind of scrambling over the top of the cliff a bit weirdly. It wasn't just a nice passageway straight over, so that was quite slow going, but then at least after that you already have the height for 8 and you don't have to climb up.
That's right, that's the same contour coming through there. Cool. 9. Oh yeah, there's a bit going on here.
Yeah, so that was one of the main things about this leg. There is a lot going on. So
even just visually, like it's easy to not understand the map because there's too much clutter. So how do you simplify this?
Ton of simplification here. So I pretty much just simplified it to like the valley.
So there's the big valley
and the massive cliff, and then the cliff the control's on. And I ignored all the tracks.
Nice.
Because the tracks don't help you at all.
That's right. You're always taught that tracks are the easiest thing to follow, and that's true until there's too many tracks.
And, here you just got tracks going back and forth, and it's impossible to tell which one you're actually on because they're all so parallel and so similar.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
So I just dropped down to where the track crosses the river, and then just across to probably that 180 track bend, like that, just like about there.
Oh, yep. So you went below the cliff?
Yeah, and below that other cliff, and then kind of just ran straight towards the end of the cliff.
You were probably running on this track.
I think I was running just below that.
Or just below the track.
Yeah.
But you didn't really mind whether you're on the track or not because you're just looking for this line of.
Honestly, I was trying to keep off it because we were told to not be on the tracks, which is quite difficult on this course, especially on the legs on this southeast side of the valley where there's so many tracks just parallel to each other.
Yeah.
It was pretty difficult, but yeah. So I was
Cool.
going kind of in between
really
those.
Nice simplification. Cool.
Yeah, and then just went straight to that cliff, but then it was on the top, not the bottom. So then I had to climb up that earth bank to get there.
Oh, you went around,
Yeah.
Cool. 10?
Yeah, okay. So
Do you go for this little thing here? Oh, looks dodgy.
On the map, the printing, the indistinct track was for some reason really thin and
it's pretty thin.
quite impossible. Because it was,
so you didn't see it on the
black
map.
and dark green, I completely missed that actually. So it was probably safer anyway to not do it.
Yeah, it does look risky.
So I went straight to that corner of the open in the dark green, and then down to the valley, jumped straight back into the forest, and then just climbed up along the fence line to the control.
Cool. And did you see this reentrant here?
Yeah, I mean the spur coming out was definitely obvious that the control was on, and you could see the control on top, so you just ran. Yeah,
that's nice that it's on top. It gives you good visibility. Cool. Okay, so here you've got a lot of tracks as well. So did you ignore them again?
Yeah, pretty much. So I just ran. Yeah, I think I ran on that top bit of the track, just north of 10. I think I went at like around to there.
Oh yeah, came around the vegetation.
And then just tried to stay in between those two tracks and not go on them, because there's heaps of mountain bikers flying down that.
Oh yeah.
The main one that's marked.
Okay.
I don't actually know why that's marked differently to the rest of them. They're all pretty similar, but yeah, just along there, and it's pretty hard to miss because you have two like handrails on either side of you, quite
down
close
here
together.
And down here, you're sandwiched between these two.
Yeah,
so
you can't mess up really. As long as you're looking slightly to the left and right, you're gonna see it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the same deal with 12.
Just stay in the sandwich.
As long as you're staying in the tracks, you're going to hit that erosion gully.
Yeah. So that's your bottom line, and that's your top line.
So they were actually
can't miss it.
Quite easy. And then
same again here.
Yeah, pretty much same story actually.
Did you try to avoid the dense green area of forest here?
It was I kind of just ducked under it. It was a couple of trees which had fallen, and I could get through that. There was a lot of those little re-entranty things, more than like the two that's there. So you kind of just went contoured along until you saw one with the control in it, really.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else to really to gauge it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Is that there's some uncertainty. You're a little bit confused about, well, am I in the right re-entrant yet? But there's not really much point in slowing down, because you still just have to, even if you're not in the right place, you have to keep going.
Control. Yeah. And you can't really navigate with much else there. Everything looks the same the whole way along 12 to 13. So you just keep going past these re-entrants until you see the one with the control in it, really. I mean, unless you navigated off that track junction on the north. But
14?
So just out to the fence corner.
So we're going slightly, just kind of contouring, maybe slightly downhill, but not much.
Yeah, it was a little bit downhill, and then
slightly up.
And then just pretty much straight to 14, and you've got that little track bend on the right, which you can see.
See that guy? So
you can use that as reference to know exactly where it is.
Cool. It's just the same height. It's the same height as the squiggle. Yep.
And then 15.
Straight or around? How dense is that forest?
That looked pretty awful. I considered possibly dropping down to that track. But
that was an option. And then,
and I was like, okay, maybe if it's not that bad, I could just run through the green to the track. But it was pretty awful. It was kind of fight almost.
You'd mean you might do that bottom option,
go
or
just
straight
shortcut straight through, depending on how bad it is. But it was pretty bad. So I went over the top. It looked like the least distance, and looks like it's going to be about the same climb either way. Possibly a bit more dropping down.
Maybe lower from there, especially if you go back up to there, then that's more climb.
Yeah. So that looked like the obvious way to go. and then just over the top again there.
Following the track, fast, easy.
Track junction, then straight down.
Straight down. Any compass here, or was the visibility good enough?
Visibility is fine, and it's only like 30, 20 meters off the junction which you're coming from. So
yeah. Cool. What did you do for 17?
Here, I kind of just gradually ran down to the bottom track there.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping it fairly straight, yeah, and then just sprint along that, and then to there.
How did you know when to enter?
I mapped that track, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're familiar?
Yeah.
But you've still got to get into the middle. Is it better to do that?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yep.
Just saw her on the right and jumped in because it was real close.
Longer one?
Yep. So...
Well, we've got some obvious ponds.
Yeah, that was all. It's all quite easy going. So you just keep along that track and then...
Onto the grass?
I think I went through the little thing there and then straight down to 18, straight into the track.
Something like that.
Yep. A bit of an unnecessary bend there.
Yeah. So tidy the scale. So this little gap here,
yeah.
Obviously is just faster running than going through the long grass.
Yeah.
I imagine it was.
And then you got that nice little attack point there with the left bend and the special feature. So you can use both of those, and then just a little bearing to take it pretty much straight south into 18.
And the control side itself is a catching feature.
Yeah.
You cannot overrun that, so have a go. Did you see the semi-open?
Yeah, it seemed a bit off to me, but there was definitely
something going on.
It's definitely less green and more open, so it was about right. Yeah, I just used a bearing and just jumped into it. So it's short enough that if you take a rough bearing and go in that direction, you're gonna see it once you hit the lake.
You'll hit somewhere along here, and then you can hunt around.
Yeah, it's not like a long enough bearing that you need to aim off or anything.
Yep.
So, back out to the track, and then.
Not interested in cutting the corner through here?
No, I've done it before, like in some of these areas. Like over here, and it's pretty awful. It's usually just way faster running going in the tracks.
Yeah.
And then just kept going along that track to the bridge, and then you got really nice transitions from like open land with trees into like dense stuff.
So this is the more open stuff, you mean? Or
like,
closer to control?
Right close to
okay.
Control.
So you could see that change between the dense dark green and
that was
scattered
really
trees.
obvious. So you just jumped straight in as soon as it did that, and the clearing.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is where it got really just sprinty for the next 4 or 5 controls here. So just come out to the track, little dog leg out to the south track there, and then I ran along that track the whole way to 20.
Yep.
Cut across through that little sand thing.
Bash through that.
Yep.
Cool. Fairly easy. Was it at all confusing to tell the difference between the solid green and the other trees?
No, not at all.
What's the difference?
Well, those are just like singular mature trees, and so
these guys should be quite big trees.
And they're definitely different. And then this is like bushier stuff, and it's quite different because from afar for the dots you can see the trunk, and this is you just see a bush, and it's green everywhere. And then that just ran it straight. You could see the control from 20 pretty much.
Yep.
And then this one probably could have saved like 5 seconds or so just from going straight, but for some reason the bridges enticed me, so I went across the bridge along that track, and then I realised the bridge was unnecessary there because the water, those water features were nothing really.
Dried up.
Yeah, so.
Then you ran that track.
Yeah.
Short one.
And then here, there's like
two
little route choices.
Yep. Did you go around?
Straight. I just went left, and because then you could just absolutely boost it along the track and then just take right, and then you don't have to do any thinking. It's just real easy. And then just dead straight the whole way on that. Through that little track.
Perfectly on the line.
Yeah.
Okay, but then here you could have some trouble. How did you simplify 24?
I just kept going straight onto the wavy track.
So this little one. Green. So you're running downhill. Well, there's a spur.
Yeah. So over the spur.
Here, right.
So I was running over the spur onto that other track.
Did you see this building?
Yep. It's like a shipping container thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just had to come around the base of that. Because
it was quite a big earth bank here.
Yeah, so it's impassable.
Okay, so you ran around the base of the earth bank and into the control.
Yep. So.
Okay, on to 25.
So, yeah, so this is another bit of inside knowledge here, but they've been building a new track in this whole area in here. And in doing so, they've cleared all the vegetation, so that green is non-existent now, pretty much. So I pretty much just ran alongside the track, and it's pretty nice and open. Pretty much
through here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just a bit out of date.
And then to that junction, just south, and then caught onto that track. Yeah, and then just up to the control there. So yeah, I think I did that. Then along, and that was. I assume that was nice and obvious. I can't actually remember it, but I don't think that would have been too difficult.
Yeah, feel close to the track. Safe. You're just jumping up one track, which is a bit different to the longer leg you had earlier, where there were multiple parallel tracks to consider, and there you could ignore them and do okay. Whereas here, it's just easy enough just to go run along, and then one track up, then to the control.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the same with 27, I imagine.
Yeah. Oh, you're missing one.
Oh, no, not straight to 27, 26, yeah.
Yeah, so again, that's very similar to the other one, so you just kind of run to the cliff, and I went round the left side and up.
Was this reentrant clear?
Yeah, definitely. And then, once again, bit of simplification here, just you just got that big cliff, which you can clearly see. And then that just brings you into the small cliff, and so I pretty much ran straight.
So you probably weren't in close contact with the map.
No,
through here you're just looking up the hill to the left.
I think I came into that from the bottom. So just like
so you're probably more like running down here.
Yeah,
around the bottom of the sky. So you don't want to be too close to this cliff.
Yeah. So
you can see it. You're referencing your distance from it. But you're not hugging it.
Mm-hmm. And just straight down to the main track there, and then around the swamp.
And nice again, maybe you didn't know exactly where you were in that area.
I wasn't looking at anything there.
Yeah, but you know you're going to get caught. By
as soon as I got to the control 27, like what I was actually looking at on the map was just this area around the swamp.
That's all that's of interest.
Yeah, I never even looked at that part of the map.
Yeah, cool. Nice simplification. Almost at the finish.
Yep, so then the only really viable route here is south and then west along that main track.
And then
I sprint
onto the grass at some stage.
Keeping it below that hill so I don't have to climb.
Right, so there's those two contours there where mapped.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And then just along the track,
turning right
to that garden thing, and then just jump the fence to finish.
Cool. Finished.
Yep.
Thanks, Ryan. Hope you had a good weekend with the 2 events, and look forward to catching up next time.
Thank you.
So that was good talking to Ryan about the course. I definitely feel that he has a good understanding of the way he orienteers and can communicate that quite clearly. So as much as I want to talk to different people as we do this, I'm definitely keen to talk to Ryan again on a trickier course, because I think he explains things really nicely. Again, feedback please. This is still early days for Leg by Leg, so we need the community's help to help guide where this all goes. My personal feel of that one is that while it was for beginners with a few intermediate legs in there, we were going quite fast, and we weren't discussing maybe a lot of the handrails and stepping stones that I do want to spend more time talking about. So maybe there's expectation that I'm putting on to get all of the controls done in a limited amount of time, and that of course means that we have to go at a certain pace, otherwise we're going to take an hour to get through the course. So maybe I feel like we're skimming through some of the controls, and that might not be the best for very beginners, but we'll see. I need the feedback to know, so please get in touch, as some of you have. Thanks, bye.